right, family. So let's deal with the number six. I could do better here. Anyway, sign language, number six for numerology. Okay. Continuing on with our childhood and then our adulthood as far as the understanding. So we have a 5-year old who now becomes a 6-year old. And let's say the 6-year old is going to first grade. If you have a child that's 6 and you have a child that's 3, what do you notice with the 6-year old? The 6-year old all of a sudden becomes the protector, the big brother, the big sister. They want to teach, right? They want to share. They want to get with that other little sibling. And even if you don't have a sibling at home, what happens with that first grader when they see the people in kindergarten? They teach, they share, they nurture them, they hug them. It's okay. Here, have half of my sandwich, right? So the nurturing energy, the energy of taking care of others, you see that take place normally the 6-year-old. After 5, they had to get their berries. They're all over the place. And now at 6, they got this. At least they think they got this, right? And they want to be helpful. They want to be helpful to the teacher, helpful to the parents, helpful to the people, the little other little kids, right? They want to show them how to do things. This is a domesticated type energy, a home, a family type energy of taking care of others. And it is also a teaching energy. Number 6 means pregnant with love. The circle at the bottom means the person has a lot of love to give and they're sharing that normally in their circle, right? They're just like at home, at school, at church, wherever they interact with people, they're sharing, you know, here's a sucker, I have two, you can have one. I know how to tie my shoe. I can show you how to tie your shoe. They're sharing knowledge, they're sharing love, right? Most of the time. The person becomes aware of the fact that they know how to do something that someone else doesn't, right? They're aware that the little 2-year-old brother or sister can't speak in full sentences or needs help coloring, and they know how to color and they're ready to teach and share. They're normally showing a lot of love and affection. What's the downside of a person who's ready to teach and share? Sometimes they're ready to teach when no one's there to receive. Have you ever seen that sibling situation where the older sibling is forcing the younger sibling to do something? Hey, I know how to do this. You need to know how to do it too, right? So they could be a little bit rigid in their approach, and they could be a little focused on home and teaching and nurturing to the point of becoming a little bit of a domestic tyrant. You come into their situation and they're going to be like, this is how it's done. This is how it's done. Tie your shoe, grab and make that bow, make that circle. Don't you do it with the right hand first because they know how to do it. Now, part of that is good, right? Because they have a sense of duty to helping others. The other side that is not so good is they can also be jealous. Again, when you don't receive the information or you receive it from someone else. And then they could be kind of a little indignant, a little self-righteous. I know and you don't, right? When you get the 0 energy and you add it to the 6, remember the 0 is going to enhance these traits. So let's just talk about those of us in our 60s. In our 60s, we have all this knowledge. So what do we want to do? We want to share that knowledge with others. We want to share it with the children, with the grandchildren, with the great-grandchildren. This is how you do it. This is how I did it. This is what works. And we want to have our home be a certain way. So we definitely want to share it at home with our family and friends because we want the best for them. But the other side of that coin is this is how I learned it. My way or the highway. Meaning, because that person has the knowledge in their mind this way. They have these blinders on, and the knowledge can only be given and received in one way, which, if someone else is not receptive to getting the knowledge, it becomes a little tension there, right? So, higher vibration, the person is nurturing, helping. Lower vibration, they're forcing, they're punishing, and there's consequences for not doing it how they want it done. And those consequences, it's like the hammer, are severe, right? Well, I'm gonna take you out my wheel. Well, then get out of my house. Well, I'm not going to. So it's a controlling thing that sometimes happens if they're in the lower vibration. Or I have the knowledge. If they want the knowledge, they got to come to me. I'm not giving it out freely. I'm not going to talk to them. They need to come here. And this is within their own family. Okay. So those are two energies, right? If I'm ready to make a home and I'm seeking a partner, would I want a partner that has the sixth energy who loves home? Sure. Would I want to get married in a 6 year that's all about home and family and being pregnant with love? Of course. If I'm a 5 and I want freedom and I don't want to be tied to that energy, do I want the six? Not necessarily. I might want it for a season, but not permanently. So then what happens when I see angel numbers in terms of repeating numbers? Because most people don't say angel number is 666, but it is a repeating number. So it's a messenger. So if I see a series of six, a lot of people see the series of six and they say, oh, 666, that's a negative energy. That's a downside. That's a demonic energy. And that's not so. That is a message in the frequency of nurturing, caring, educating, domestic responsibility. Maybe you're being a tyrant at home, at work, right? If you're retired in the community, when you're driving in Florida, maybe you're headed for some danger because of your actions or inaction. But if you listen to me, and 666 adds up to 18, which is 9, which is a spiritual number. And that's why it's associated with death, or the culmination of death, or, darkness, because 9 is the last number in numerology, which means endings. And so it could mean something coming to an end. But your domestic situation could be coming to an end. You could be moving from that house, could be going into a nursing home, could be going to live with someone else. It signifies a change, right? You have to look at the numbers for what they are, because 6 and 6 is 12, which is 3 is a communication. And so you might be having some struggles in the way you're communicating at home, or you might need to seek out more fun and go and be like, adventurous a little bit at home. Might be a time for you to take up a hobby in the arts. There's different ways to interpret the energy, but it always has to be based on where you are in your life. Now, the sixth house is about health in astrology. And in the 60s, it's where a lot of people see chronic ailments. Actually, they start in the 50s on some of them, the late 50s. So remember my transition period, the 2-year transition period. And then in the 60s, some of those health issues become more apparent. Okay. So it might need to focus on that. All right. Next, we're going to deal with the 70s. Are you guys enjoying this? By the way, side note, you can get one of my books, my actual numerology books, where I go into the numerology and astrology together from the rising sign, which is who you're becoming in this lifetime. And you can use that energy to actually map out what's going to transition in your life, what's going to take place, and how you interact with people. Website, www.bighealing.com. Love you. Bye.